sunshines, all of you. I hope everyone's doing okay. So as you can see from the title of this video, I am going to be doing a video on attachments and just information about attachments in general. So I'll be saying about the positives, the negatives, and I'll try and give you the best advice as I can of how to deal with attachments if the person you're attached to leaves you, for example. Like, this video was suggested by someone, so I'll try my best to do this video as well as I can. I do suffer with attachment issues and it's something I struggle with on a daily basis. It's something I've always struggled with, like even since I was a little girl, so I'm more aware of it now because as you get older you're more aware of things and you know a bit more about what's going on. An attachment and a bond are completely different things. A bond is when, like, you have a good connection with someone and you don't really go OTT, so you don't really go over the top, if that makes sense. But with an attachment, it can be quite draining. It can mean that you're reliant on that person. So I'm going to start off with doing the positives and the negatives because, like, I think that'd be a bit easier. So, okay, so the positives are you will be able to open up to that individual more because you would have built quite a good relationship with that individual, so you'll be able to trust them and talk to them. And because of this, you won't have to keep repeating yourself to them, so they'll know most things about you because you would have already opened up to them about it on many occasions. You can just be yourself when you're with them because they won't judge you and they respect you for who you are. This person could actually save your life. I know that I see my GP so much. I've been seeing her for over a year and I built such a good bond with her and she's honestly saving my life so much. Like, she might not be saving my life physically, but mentally she is saving my life. And like, when you finally find someone that you're able to talk to, it's such a good feeling and you just don't want that person to go, if that makes sense, because you're thinking, oh my god, like, you've honestly saved my life. Like, if I didn't have you in my life, or if I wasn't able to talk to you, then I wouldn't have a clue who I'd go to. And the last positive that I thought of was that they know how to deal with you and they know what to say to you. Some people, if you don't really get along with them and you can't really talk to them, they don't really know how to deal with you in that situation because they don't know much about you, so they don't want to say the wrong thing. Whereas if you've built a really good bond with this individual and they know your weaknesses and your triggers and what upsets you, then they know how to deal with you in a better manner, so they'll understand a bit more because they would have got to know you for a while, so they will know what to say to you. Now I'm going to say some of the negatives about attachments. And these are only a few which have come to my mind, so there's probably more, but I don't want to make it seem like attachments are a bad thing because not everything about attachments are negative. One negative is that you have a fear of abandonment. So when you get attached to an individual, you always worry that they're going to leave you, and that's a really big part with attachments. Like an attachment is so much different to a bond because you go deeper when it's an attachment because you constantly worry that they're going to leave you and you always fear the worst that's going to happen to that individual and that you just get scared that you're going to be left on your own. And it's just, a bond is just like a friendship basically with someone. Like, you just get along with someone, you have like the same interests, you like spending time with that individual. Like, it's so much more different than an attachment. Like, there are similarities, but yeah, an attachment is a bit more extreme because you can go to the next level of it and you can overthink everything. This also links with the fear of abandonment, is that you don't ever want to leave that individual. I know in my case, when I see like my GP for example, and anyone else I'm attached to, I don't want to leave them, and I always want to stay with them for as long as possible, and I always get that feeling afterwards when I see them that, oh my god, like, I feel like the world's ended because I feel so sad that I've left them, and I start thinking negatively, like, oh my god, like, what happens if I can't see that person again? What happens if she won't be here, like, the next time I see her? What happens if something bad's going to happen to her? I don't know, it just goes a bit crazy, so you start overthinking all these negative things, but I know you've got to rationalise those thoughts and make sure you live in the moment and not fear the worst, because that's not happened yet and that's probably not going to happen. Another negative is that you could become dependent on them and they could get quite annoyed with that, so in that aspect they could feel a bit worried about that and they could then distance themselves from you, not because they don't want to see you, but because they could think that the relationship isn't healthy for you both. But I feel like everyone's different, like everyone will deal with things differently. Like my GP, she's been aware of my attachment issues, oh my god, like pretty much since the first time I met her. She is so understanding with my attachments and she is always absolutely fine to see me. I know some professionals in some cases might have to like distance themselves from that individual because they feel like they're doing more bad than good, and that is very hard, I'm not going to lie to you, like I can't sugarcoat that. Like I just feel like if that is the case, then maybe try and keep yourself busy so you're not always thinking of that person and not being able to see them, and if they do suggest that they will be able to work with you after a few weeks or so, then maybe try and use that as motivation to try and get better, because they only want the best for you, and maybe if you give them a bit of space and you have a bit of space, then think of it as a positive thing that they're doing this to try and help you get better, and in the long run all they want is for you to be okay. And if they can't work with you and you're really attached with them, and say for example a teacher, a doctor, or anyone in the or anyone like that, if you're not like their pupil, their patient, etc., then you could be friends with them after you've left school or after you've been discharged from the services that you're with, because I know that when you're at school you're not allowed to be friends with teachers, but I know that when you leave school teachers can add you as friends. Well, they have in my case and a few other people that I know. So it's not all bad. I know in that moment it seems like, oh my god, like the world is falling apart, like you can't see them anymore, like you've been reliant on this person in a way for like so long, and now like you feel like you've been left on your own. If you say to them, if you can keep in contact with them even after they've helped you, or then that may even be possible, because I know it can happen in my situation, so I think that'd be okay. Getting attached to like your friends like is a bit different, because you're able to have contact with them and there aren't really any boundaries, because there's no right or wrong answer, because they're not professionals, so you can't be careful what you have to say to them, if that makes sense. But for me personally, I have struggled with attachments all my life. I don't just get attached to professionals, it can be anyone. Like I know people might think that some people's attachments to professionals, for example, are unhealthy, but the relationship I have with my GP, like I wouldn't change, because I'm able to trust her and she won't judge me. She knows how to deal with me. She makes such an effort towards me and my care, and she always puts me and others first, and she's told me on many occasions that she's absolutely fine with seeing me. Like attachments are hard, I'm not even gonna lie, like they are really hard. Like you can find yourself thinking about that individual like every single day, and you could be then counting down the days of like, oh my god, when am I going to be able to see that person again, because It could be all you think about. But as much as they can be draining and you could be relying on that person in a way, they could be saving your life. But sometimes attachments can be rewarding. As I have gained so much more confidence since I've met my GP, she's encouraged me so much, and she is such a positive person that she then covers me in positivity, if that makes sense. So she's honestly a real gem. Like, I honestly put my hats off to her because she's an absolute angel. Like, having an attachment to someone doesn't make you a bad person, because sometimes they can bring out the best relationships. I feel like attachments is such a taboo subject because there's so much negativity towards it. Like, everyone thinks it's such a bad thing, but they don't always look at the positives when you have attachments. And yes, when that person has to leave you, or if they do leave you, then it's not going to be good, like, in that moment. But try and look at it in the long run, that they're trying to do the best for you, and that the reason why they're leaving you, it might not even be because of you. It might be because they need to get a new job, or they just don't want to be in that job anymore, because it could be quite draining for them as well. But that doesn't mean you can't ask them if you can keep in contact with them when they are not working with you anymore, if that makes sense, because I know that that can happen. I feel like this video has been a bit messy. Like it's really hard for me to give advice about this because it's really raw for me, because I struggle with this on a daily basis, and when I watch this back, I don't know if it's going to make any sense, but I'm just literally, it's really difficult to, like, I don't know, attachments, I don't know, it's just really difficult. Like, a bond and attachment are different things. Like, a bond is like when you have the same connection with an individual, and you could have like the same interests, and you could just enjoy the same things. An attachment, you can overthink the whole situation. Like, you could fear abandonment, you could fear that the person's gonna hate you, like that something bad's gonna happen to them, like you can always think of them, that you don't ever want to leave them and you just always want to be around that person. Like, some people could take it to the next level and they could end up, like, I don't know, say like stalking that individual. So they could be like waiting for that person to finish work, so they could be waiting for them outside their work. And for that example, I do think that is extreme. Like, I've never done that. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I've had that in my mind before, that I've had to go down and wait for my GP because I've just wanted to see her because I feel so low and I know she'll help me. So, and I know I wouldn't cause her any harm, and I wouldn't do any harm to anyone because she knows that, and I've told her that if I did come down to see her and wait for her, all I'd want to do is, like, see her, like, because at the end of the day, like, she's helping me and she helps me so much. I do feel like, don't take it to that extreme, because I feel like that's when things can get worse, and I don't think going to that extreme is healthy, because you could end up getting into trouble yourself. Like, the police could then get involved and it could just escalate into more negativity for you, and it's just not fair for you and that other individual. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if this video doesn't make any sense. I do feel like I was a bit like I don't know, I was just trying to get everything out, but it is quite raw for me. If this video helps you out, then I'm glad about that. But this is probably one of the hardest advice videos that I've ever done, because it's something that I don't really have much advice on, because I struggle with it myself, and it's very tricky, because I wish I could give myself some advice what I'm giving you guys, because I have no idea how you overcome attachments, because I struggle with it. Like, just try and keep yourself distracted, but make sure you're busy with things. Try and keep yourself preoccupied, and yeah, just try not think too deep about that situation, because don't always assume the worst in every situation, because that's not always true. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is not all attachments are bad, because some attachments bring out the best relationships. And I've known my GP for over a year, and I've been seeing her for over a year, and she has done more good than bad for me, and yeah, she's an absolute angel. But anyway guys, thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you all on my next video. Bye!